I'm Christy, and we're here to talk today about literature and the importance of strong literature and reading aloud. We often talk a lot about attention span and how reading aloud helps to grow your students' attention span and about building vocabulary. And both of those things are definitely a big part of reading aloud and reading with your children. Attention span in an age of distraction, it's so good to be building that up, and it definitely helps the brain to stretch and grow as they're reading aloud and listening. Vocabulary growth, when you're reading at a level that's above their reading level, so important and helps them understand across different subjects even. And beyond that, though, even aside from academics, as you're reading, you're building understanding. So as you're taking time to listen to what an author has to say and taking time to read, you're building an understanding of people and places and times and cultures. And there's a humility that comes with that, of listening and hearing what it's like to be somewhere you've never been and to be in the place of someone where you aren't. And so it's something I enjoy sharing with my boys as we understand new people, new places, and new cultures, and different times. And so also in reading aloud and in reading together, the relationships that are built during the time that we sit down together, and it's just this commitment that I have with them to sit down and read together and take time together. And as we do that, then there's, over the years, there's all of this time that we've had laughing and asking questions, saying what we think. They open up and tell me, I have never thought of this way, and when he said this, I wonder why he did that. Whatever it is, they begin to tell you what's really on their mind, and it's a precious time that is irreplaceable. So I think you all agree with that because you're here watching this sunlight video. Another thing, just the love of language that comes from sitting down and reading with someone that cares about you so much. I read a book earlier this year by it was someone who had interviewed a lot of different authors, and so the authors speak, they're award-winning authors, and they tell about how they were influenced by that person that sat down and read to them aloud, and they told some of their favorite books from when they were little, and it was a lot of Sunlight titles actually, and they talked about the mom or dad or grandmother or grandfather that sat down with them and read. And so it was encouraging to hear that what we're doing at Sunlight all the time is what fueled these writers and their passion for words and for literature. So we're on the right track, I think. So keeping it fun, that's an important part of reading aloud, of reading great literature. Playing up characters is a big part, something that you can do to bring in a lot of fun. Using different voices in Red Sails to Capri and C. If you can attempt to talk like the mother in that book, then you're probably doing better than I did. But all the voices of all the different people, maybe your kids get into that, maybe they don't. Probably some of them might and some of them less so, I guess. You might have a student that you say, what do you think this character sounds like? And they're ready to say, oh, they probably sound like this. And others who say, I don't really know, less creative types. But if they get into that, that's a great way to make it fun. Also, getting invested into the story. You can use the questions in your instructor's guide to ask questions beforehand, and just that little tip of knowing the questions before gives them something to listen for. Or you could just make it fun as you're driving down the road. What do you think is going to happen today if you have somewhere to go and you're in the car? Have to go to the orthodontist or whatever beforehand. Oh, we're reading this today. What happened yesterday? Can anybody remember? And then when you're ready, when you sit down, you've talked about it a little bit, refreshed your memory, and you're ready to go and to make that fun. taking breaks, that's important. Get your heart pumping, stop and, sometimes in January especially, we might catch ourselves drifting into autopilot. And if that starts to happen, then yes, be ready to take breaks and watch for that need for some activity. Let's see, if you look ahead for the next 3 to 4 books ahead, and you just kind of look through and look for some fun things that you might do, maybe with Everything on a Waffle or Adventures with Waffles. We have a couple of waffle books in Sunlight. Make some waffles. Maybe some of the books, I'm thinking of Daniel's Duck and The Journeyman, both have some art with stencils or with woodwork. You could do some art projects. That would be fun. If you're reading Shadow of a Bull, from F. One of the things I did this last year is, as we read this book, as we read every several chapters, we watched about 20 or 30 minutes of Ferdinand, the movie. So you get Manolo's perspective as the boy that's supposed to be the bullfighter, and then you get the perspective of the animal in the Ferdinand movie. I think it's by DreamWorks. Anyway, it's cartoon. So basically, that was a lot of fun for us. We enjoyed that, and it helped us kind of also to see some of the culture and some of the pictures and some of the fun involved as we were reading the book, and some of the vocabulary even. So look for and think about activities your kids will love. There's so many creative possibilities out there. So you also, in your house, you may have reluctant readers or you may have bookworms. So I wanted to quickly address both of those. So with reluctant readers, I would say one of the biggest things is to start where they are. It's okay to shorten the reading list. If you have 25 books that you've finished at the end of the year and you've enjoyed it, that is much better than 30 books that you drug yourselves through. So maybe look at your titles and pick several, maybe 4 or 5, however many books that you might save for summer. That's a perfectly acceptable thing to do. It's okay to help in different ways. If you're reading a book and you read one page, let them read the next page. So share it with them and keep their frustration level low. So keep the love of reading going by taking the pressure off. Yes, keep a consistent schedule, but pick a manageable amount of time or a place you want to stop each day. And don't push beyond the limits. Just keep yourself from doing that. Utilizing breaks. Maybe you have a student who needs more breaks. I've had a student before that I started, maybe in the morning. If he was doing great, we might, doing well, we might go ahead and read the full passage. But if he needed a break, which I could kind of see in his eyes, then I would, stop. We would have a lunch break or, whatever whatever was coming up. Go ahead and take the break and then read a little more in the afternoon, and then even in the evening if we needed to. We would break it up for him and smaller, snippets throughout the day instead of one long stretch. That can be a way to build up to more independence with their reading, or, attention span for reading longer with read-alouds. So find what works for your student using a quick image search. For a student who understands better with pictures, once those pictures disappear from your books, they start to go away, and fewer pictures in as they progress through the years. But you may come across, vocabulary that isn't familiar, and so do a quick image search and show them what exactly that vocabulary word looks like. And that can be very helpful. So whatever you do, don't lose heart. Come by the app and ask questions. We're there to answer questions, and there's lots of support there. One of my most reluctant readers asked for the last 2 years, has asked for books for Christmas. And in his early years, he asked, he was reluctant in his early years, and he asked for Christmas, books for Christmas the last couple of years. So some of the above tips helped him move from being a very resistant reader to a curious reader and to enjoying his reading time. And I find him reading independently all the time now. So that's encouraging to me. For bookworms, you have students that just want to read and read and read everything. In the early grades, make use of the wealth of picture books for fun and for more learning. You can go with their interests and the subjects that intrigue them. It can build their confidence as they're reading these picture books maybe to a younger sibling. In the middle grades through high school, look for sequels and prequels to Sunlight titles because there's so many. And try not adding to the academic requirements with the reading that you do. Just keep it in the fun category. So don't assign it and put it on the book list and ask them to follow a schedule and those kind of things. Just, I think it can be good to just keep it fun. And follow their passions and interests. I wanted to say in the early grades when they're learning to read independently, maybe after you've done Fun Tales and during I Can Read It. I Can Read It was a great series that let's see, 1, 2, 3 of my boys learned to read with the I Can Read It series, and it worked very well. And as we went through those books, it could get tedious for them and for me, and so we found some other books as we were continuing our academics, and we still did that, just a measured amount each day that was right for them. On our own for fun, we would read books like the Elephant and Piggy books, and that brought in some, quick, there's a little bit on each page, not a lot of text, and this helped basically them to be able to have a successful quick read of a book, or find smaller books like that can help you give them some quick success. Also, this was a year for us. I'm showing you my 9th grader's little library here. This is not all of his books, but some of his favorites. And he has this little bedside table, and he has Restart is a book that was one of the Sunlight titles. Look for summer readers. There are some really great summer readers from Sunlight. And when I talked about going with their passions and interests, my son enjoys languages, and so I've gotten him some short stories in French that he's been reading for the last couple of years, off and on here, and some the French and Spanish and English dictionary. He also has Spanish Bible and a French English Bible that helps him to translate that. He started loving Dickens after he read A Christmas Carol, and he started reading it every year. And this Sunlight book is, I hadn't seen it before the last couple of years, and it's just beautiful. It's got just beautiful illustrations, and I'd been using Sunlight for years before I knew about it, but it's just a really nice book that's available through Sunlight. But he figured out this year that he thought Dickens is hilarious, and so he asked this year, one of his biggest book requests was for David Copperfield. So he got David Copperfield for Christmas by Dickens, almost 900 pages, so definitely a bookworm here. So this is just one of the titles that he got for Christmas and was so excited about. So he started Sunlight at age 3, and over the years has just grown into this reader that loves to read. He read Agatha Christie, one of the Sunlight titles, and then he has a whole section here of Agatha Christie books. In the early middle grades, he did these Trenton Lee Stewart, Nicholas Benedict, the Benedict Society books. There's a whole series. He just has one in here, but he's read that series. I believe he has. One of my boys has. I think he has. This is the Wingfeather Saga series. There's so many great books out there. This year he got the Wingfeather Tales, the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings Tolkien series. Early grades, we read one of the C.S. Lewis books in E, I believe it was. And then he wanted to read all of them, so he read all of those in the middle grade. So just going with Sunlight sequels, prequels, and other books, just whatever's in their interest is a great way to go. So have fun, find new interests, grow, and enjoy getting closer as you build your family library together, and enjoy time together with enriching literature from Sunlight.